Oh, geez. There's no bag. Perfect. All right, welcome back to the workbench, everybody. We have a Kenmore Progressive Canister. The complaint is that it is not picking up, and that the performance indicator light, that's this light right here, that is lighting up, which basically means that there's some sort of obstruction in the system. So it's probably clogged. We got the okay for an unclog. Now again, I just want to reiterate, this is just an unclog. It is not a service. So I always get people in the comments who think that I'm like shorting the customer or, you know, not going the extra mile. I give every customer the opportunity to say yes to a service. If they say no, I'm not going to give them one. I'm not going to charge them for one. And, you know, I'm also not going to do it without charging. So I will do what they ask me to do. You know, and that's fine with me, fine with them, should be fine with you. So anyways, so this guy here, like I said, is not picking up. Looks like if we've got this right here, we've got a broken clip right here to get the hose out, but we're going to turn this on and just kind of see what's going on. And contact. Ooh. That does not sound good. With that sound, what we were hearing is we saw the entire body of the canister flex downward, and we heard a really high-pitched motor noise, and then when it turned off, we heard a very long wind down of the motor. It goes, woo! What that is, there's a couple things going on here. It is clogged, definitely. You know, it's something is keeping it from getting air. That's why you saw the housing suck down, because it's creating a negative pressure system. It's pulling air out, and there's nowhere for, you know, it's collapsing on itself. So it definitely is clogged. Probably a pretty bad clog from the looks of it. This is going to be, oh, it just pulls. Wow, that just pulls right out because that clip right here is broken, so I don't even need to do any prying. That would be annoying to vacuum with. Oh geez, there's no bag. Perfect. Yeah, we'll test it once we take a look at this hose. So the first place that I want to look, just because it's easier, is the air pathway. You follow the air pathway up to the machine. So it starts here with the floor. Air comes up through this wand. So I want to make sure there's no obstruction here before I start messing around with the hose. It's probably not clogged here, but it would be great if it was. And that's fine, that's working fine. So definitely not clogged in the wands or the power nozzles. So we've got a clog in the hose. When it comes to unclogging hoses, the first thing that I like to do is try what I call, and I don't know if this is a technical term or not, but what I like to call back suction. So basically pulling against the normal air pathway that the vacuum has. So I'm going to attempt to hook my Mila up to this end of the hose and pull air in that way. So there was still air getting through here. It doesn't seem like the clog is as bad as what it sounded from the machine, so I don't know what's going on the machine end of things, but I am going to go ahead and take apart this handle so that I can run a hook through this hose. Alright, so now that's off. I don't know what was rattling around in here. Something was broken. Hear that? Weird. One more screw. There we go. All right. So this must have been dropped pretty hard at some point because it's got plastic clips floating around in there that actually belong. That's part of the clip assembly for the vacuum, or for the hose to come together. So that is not good. So I'm just going to unwrap all of this. And free up this end. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get away with not taking this end off because this is a lot more difficult. Okay, definitely nothing as far down as I can go down on this end, and I can reach about halfway down the hose, a little more. There is like a ball of hair. Again, there we go. There's some junk in there. So, like I said, point of greatest resistance tends to clog up there, so there is something right here. So at least we've determined where the clog is. Now, it looks like it's hair and some other stuff, so it's semi-porous. It's letting some air through. I've got this hook, which is made of a really heavy gauge wire. And I'm going to try to, again, sometimes, when it's at this angle, it can be kind of a pain. There is another trick if this doesn't work. There's what the heck is this? There's hair. There is an acorn? It looks like an acorn. I don't want to get too aggressive with this because it's a vinyl hose, so we can poke through with the wire. So I feel like I got what was easy. So just to see if I've loosened this up any, poking around with it, I'm going to try to use the hose again to clean this out. Mila for the win again. Tell you what. Looks like a receipt. Piece of dog kibble, acorn, and a cap from like a spray bottle. So, definitely heard some stuff move. I'm hoping that this was it. So, trust me, I've found worse clogs. That feels absolutely fantastic. So what we've got now is we've cleared out the hose, we've got airflow through it, so we've taken care of that clog. Now, the concern that I have is that the motor still sounded pretty bad when we ran it. And again, it might have just, bearing noises tend to sound worse when, they tend to sound worse in situations where there's a clog. So I'm gonna put this hose, reassemble this hose, put it back on the machine, and hope that the bearings will get them through a little while longer. place, looks good. Hose is still an absolute mess, but seems to be functioning. It turned the machine on, so this beast over here, I'm going to plug this in. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to test and make sure that the motor sounds okay. We're also going to test to make sure that it has good suction through it. Should probably put a new bag in this before I start really going to town. Oh, look at that tasty treat. Can you see that? Yummy. No motor filter. Nice. All right. Normally I would just put a paper bag in this because obviously this is not, filtration is not a primary concern, but I had this package open. So we're going to go ahead and drop this guy down in here. Now notice the reason why this is so dirty is because if you look at this guy, there is no seal, no gasket. There's a little foam seal here where you mount the bag, and that's all there is to try to seal the bag against leaking dust into the main compartment. That was honestly the fatal flaw of these machines. For the money, there are better options on the market. This is a pretty old design, and it had some flaws. Now, they can take, a decent beating. And I think that's why people like them through there. And honestly, the amount of dirt and dust that you saw in the bag compartment is probably playing a large role in that bearing noise that we heard from the machine. So let's check it out and see how it sounds. Yeah, so it's got good suction. It's still making that high-pitched woo, which obviously wasn't the fault of the clog. The clog was there, but there's issues going on with the motor, and you also heard the long whine down of woo when it turned off. That's sure signs of motor bearings. Now it is running right now, so I'm going to go ahead and give it back to them and just charge them for an unclog, the bag, and a filter. But in terms of the longevity of this machine, its days are numbered. How long it's going to last, I don't know. It could last 3 months. It could last 3 years with the motor bearings the way that they are. But the fact that we're not servicing this and getting dust out of the motor, it's going to continue to accumulate and eat into those bearings. The dust that has gotten into the dust compartment, they weren't running a motor filter. All of that has played a role in just eating up the motor bearings. So it is not unexpected given the condition of this machine. And that begs the bigger question, why would I get my vacuum serviced? Well, this is why. Because with time, things build up, dirt builds up. You've got to be vigilant about keeping filters clean, about keeping the motor compartment clean, about keeping insulation in the motor compartment clean. All of that plays a role in terms of reliability, and that's just with the main motor itself, not even talking about brush roll hair wrapping or bearings that in the brush roll motor issues. So all of that plays a role, and that's why I offer a service to all of my customers, because it really is the best way to protect your investment. If you're going to spend, I don't know how old this is, they probably spent maybe $300 on this new, but not a lot of money, but it's also, wasn't a cheap vacuum. It wasn't a $69.95 Walmart option, right? So it's got them through a lot of years, but still, with services, it could have gotten them through potentially a lot more. So that's why I always recommend servicing a machine. But that's it for unclogging the Kenmore. I appreciate you watching, and of course, subscribe and click the bell if you want to get notifications when more videos come out. I appreciate it. Thanks.